All right, if you're watching us on the American Lawn Care webcam, that fine-looking gentleman is not me. It is indeed David Young. He is Senator Chuck Grassley's former, I guess we now say, Chief of Staff for how many years, David Young?
7 years.
7 years, wow.
2006. So.
Now, I know an awful lot of people in Iowa politics in my 2.5 years, and I don't really know very much about you. So really, the main reason we brought you in today, you're running for the United States Senate.
Yes, I am.
For the soon-to-be vacant seat. Some people like to refer to it as Tom Harkin's seat. I prefer to call it Iowa's seat. And you're going to be running for that. There's two Republicans in right now, you and former U.S. Attorney Matt Whitaker. So you're very welcome. But we don't know much about you. I think the majority of people that I've spoken to don't know all that much about you apart from that one basic fact. So the main reason we brought you in today is to find out a little bit about David Young. So first of all, you're very welcome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you bringing me on. I was well. The fact that you don't know much about me means I was doing my job and staying out of the headlines.
Yes,
so.
Yes. It's all about the senator, isn't it?
It is. And born and raised in Van Meter, just in Dallas County, just west of here.
Yeah.
My parents grew up in Van Meter. Grandfathers and grandmothers there. My parents had a Young's Cafe there. My grandpa was a preacher and a tenant farmer. My brother and sister and I went to school in Van Meter, 4-H, Cub Scouts, all that kind of stuff, Little League. When I was 15, we moved into Johnston, and I graduated from Johnston High School in '86.
Okay.
Started off at Buena Vista College, and now it's BVU, a university in Storm Lake. Ended up at Drake University and graduated in 1991.
Go Bulldogs!
Go Bulldogs!
Yeah, we love all our universities here, all our college teams.
After that,
anyway.
After that, I started looking for a job, and I got involved in the Bush Quayle campaign in '92. Politics and policy interested me in public service.
You can relax. I'm not going to ask you to spell potato.
Good. Or fritter. Or something.
Yeah, anything. Nothing. No spelling.
Bush Quayle lost.
Yes.
And I said, I'm interested in this. I packed up my car and headed east.
Wow. And
went down to the Senate, stayed with a friend, banged on Chuck Grassley's door the first day I got there, and
of course, you're from Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no room in there. Yes. Nobody leaves Chuck Grassley's office. And I've always admired him. He's a citizen legislator in my book and very effective.
Okay.
And I had to eventually, pay the bills, so I started working for a few other members. Get a taste of the Senate and public service, which I just love. Always kept my eye on Grassley's office. And then 7 years ago, I got a call from the chief of staff for Grassley. He said, "You want to have coffee?" I said, "Sure." He said, "You interested in being Grassley's chief?" And I said yes before he finished the sentence. The next morning, I had breakfast with Senator Grassley and his lovely wife, Barbara, and he asked me at the end of the breakfast, "Would you like it?" And I said yes before he even finished. So the last 7 years.
And now you left.
I did.
You left that dream job.
I know. It seems kind of foolish, doesn't it?
Well, it depends, I guess.
But
you left that dream job because I guess you like the job he's doing and you want it. Similar one, anyway.
Well, I took a look at what was happening, and when Harkin announced his resignation, or that he was going to retire, I figured there were plenty of people who could handle this. King, Latham, Northey, Reynolds, Schultz. But one by one, they started dropping out, and I said to myself, here's an opportunity. You're passionate about Iowa and public service to take it to another level. And so I made a judicious decision, a lot of prayer, a lot of talking with family and friends, and I quit my job, laid it all on the line, and I'm home. I woke up in Van Meter this morning, Van Meter the other day. I'm home, where I belong. I always knew I'd come back.
Okay,
I didn't know it would be this way.
If you're going to win the state, you're going to have to leave Van Meter again and start traveling, aren't you?
That's right.
Yeah, because
I had to mow my lawn, though. My nephew did, but I had to make sure it got mowed.
Because a lot of people don't know all that much about you.
Right,
so,
I'll be out and about. You
so
bet.
let's start with some real basics. If you were to become our senator, would you be more like Ted Cruz or more like John McCain?
Well, I'd be my own person.
Well, I know. But that wasn't
I guess it would depend on the issue.
Who would you be nearer politically? Let me ask it to you that way, because no, I wouldn't want you to be a clone of either one. I want you to be your own man, but you're still going to be more aligned with one or the other politically.
Right.
Those are the, if you like, the two extremes.
Right.
of the
On
party,
foreign relations and maverick kind of stuff, McCain, but on some of the constitutional stuff and spending stuff, Ted Cruz. So I guess there's a hybrid. But
so that poses the question. Then, if you were in the Senate right now, would you be supporting John McCain in arming the Syrian rebels?
Yeah.
Even though we don't know who the heck they are. And some of them clearly are Al-Qaeda.
Well, I have to trust his judgment, and we should also do a no-fly zone too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So let's go back over that one more time, real quick. As I say, the problem I have with John McCain on that particular issue is we don't know who they are. What we do know is for sure some of the Syrian rebels are Al-Qaeda. We know that for sure. Arming them? Does that make sense on any level?
You got me. No, that's
not
good.
Trying to.
Yeah, no, it's something to think about. And foreign relations is not something is not the focus of my candidacy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's more about taxpayer protection kind of stuff, government accountability.
All right, let's move on to the Gang of Ocho.
Gang of Eight.
Yes, the Gang of Eight, and the appalling, in my opinion, immigration bill that is before the United States Senate right now. I know Senator Grassley didn't like it, but I don't want to keep throwing Grassley at you because you were his chief of staff, because we want you to be your own man. So is that a bill you could vote for in its current form?
I would not have voted for it.
Okay.
The bill is too big, and it seems like a repeat of the past. I would have chopped that bill up in about 6 or 7 different bills: border enforcement, E-Verify, employment kind of stuff, guest worker kind of stuff, and I would have not allowed the departments to have so much discretion and authority. And
there's an awful lot of that in it, isn't there? I mean,
there's too much of it.
It is a huge bill, once again. I mean,
and there needs to be more accountability with the people who vote for that. I mean, in terms of the border, to ensure that it's secure, you need to hold the members of Congress accountable. They need to certify that, not somebody, a faceless person in the bureaucracy. I think the members do. Okay, I mean, I don't know about 6 or 7 bills. I certainly agree with 2 bills. There should have been a separate bill, and it should have come first to simplify legal immigration. Exactly. You've gone through that.
Yeah, it's appalling, and it absolutely needs dealing with. No question it needs dealing with. And once you've done that, once you've simplified legal immigration to this country, then you tackle illegal immigration, you tackle the people who are here, and you figure out a way that for us to figure out who the heck's in the country. We don't know.
And we'll see what the House does. The House is ramping up, and we'll see what they bring out.
Well, they have their own little gang of Ocho, don't they?
At least that many.
Yes, yes. It's going to be very interesting. I have a feeling they're going to try and ram this down our throats, frankly. But we know Senator Grassley voted against it, and you just told us you would vote against it if you had that opportunity.
But he and I differ on issues. So.
I'm sure. Oh, good. What? Glad you opened that door.
Well, I would have voted against the TARP legislation.
Okay.
Instance.
Yeah, me too.
I would not have voted for the 86 amnesty bill.
Yeah, well, to be fair to him, he admits that was a mistake.
This is true.
He admitted that on my show.
And that gives him credibility on his stance right now. He's been there. Eric Holder, I would have not voted for even before this stuff. And I think many members would probably take a second look if they had another vote with him. Yeah, I want to deal with some of these scandals. We're going to take we're in the middle of a conversation with David Young. He is running for United States Senate for the GOP. There's going to be a primary now. Now we know that for sure, because we have 2 candidates. I have a feeling that field's going to grow, but for now, we have 2. You can join the conversation. You can ask David some questions, 284-1040, 800-469-4295. In the middle of a conversation with David Young, who's Senator Chuck Grassley's former chief of staff for 7 years. He's now quit that job because he wants to become the other senator for the great state of Iowa. David, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it, getting to know a little bit about you, a little bit more. We're kind of into a policy area now, so we're going to go and talk to Joe. Joe, you're on the air, and Joe, you can talk to David Young.
Thank you, gentlemen, for taking my call. Beautiful afternoon for such a discussion.
Isn't it?
Thank you, Joe.
The way I see it, it's a many-layered situation that we've got in terms of problems that we face. And if you're a former chief of staff, I was wondering rhetorically, do you read the bills? Somebody in the office, who reads the bills? I don't believe anybody can possibly process all of that information adequately in the first place, but that's more of a rhetorical question. On a more specific or literal sense, as it applies to GMOs, and another layer of this, I have heard that there was an amendment in the works which would remove GMOs from any further review for their health effects. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I saw online a thing called genetic roulette that put the fear of genetics into me. When we see these things cross-pollinating, and on the one hand, you got one guy's contamination as another guy's patented crop that he's suing over.
Right, can we get to there's too many statements, we need a question.
My question is, would you be in favor of such an amendment? And if elected, would you read all the bills?
Well, is the question about GMOs and whether
about GMOs and governing in general?
All right, let me split it up for you. Let me ask you a simple question. If you're elected, will you guarantee never to vote for anything you haven't read?
Yeah.
You make that promise to us right now. Okay? There's a simple answer to a simple question, Joe. What was the second part? What was the second part?
The second part was as to the GMO amendment that I've heard about that might remove them legislatively from any further review, that would be insulating them from any public hue and cry over their health issues.
What do you think about that, removing GMOs from the Farm Bill for any further discussion? Is it a good thing, bad thing, something you would support, not support? Thanks, Joe.
Well, I'm not familiar with the amendment, but I think that there should be some kind of review or process in which things are looked at before they're released into the market.
All right. Joe, thanks very much for your call. I remember John Fleming. You know John Fleming from Louisiana? No, don't know John Fleming? Representative John Fleming from Louisiana. He's a medical doctor. He introduced a one-paragraph bill in the House, which never got anywhere, which essentially said anything we pass has to apply to everybody in the Capitol.
I agree with that.
Okay. Might you introduce such a one-paragraph bill into the United States Senate if you were elected?
Let's get there first. But one thing I would like to introduce...
But we want to know what you're going to do if you get there. That's the point of you coming in.
Right.
So, I mean, it does. Saying no is not a bad thing. It's just a straight answer, as I said before.
Well, I would. The Government Accountability Act is something that's important. The laws that we pass on people, we should adhere to ourselves.
All right. Let's talk to Ryan right now. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, how are we doing, Simon?
Good. Hi, Ryan.
My question is somewhat twofold, and I'll get to it real quick.
Quick as you
Since
can.
we know the IRS is overseeing Obamacare, and the court ruled that that so-called is constitutional. Now, I don't necessarily believe that makes it constitutional. But will you vote for full repeal? And if until it is full repeal, will you absolutely promise to vote against any funding whatsoever of the IRS or implementation of Obamacare?
If a vote came up for full repeal, I would vote for full repeal. But I don't think that's enough. We have to be for something as well. And the second question was about funding the IRS.
Yes.
Well,
in any way, shape, or form.
Whoa! I want a little bit more on that. So you're saying that you would only repeal Obamacare if there was something to replace it with?
No.
Okay,
I'm just saying
misunderstood
at the same time, as a party, we need to be for something. We just can't be, Dr. No.
Mm-hmm. So what would you be for?
Well, health savings accounts, being able to purchase insurance across state lines so we can get some real competition, and medical liability reform I think is important because the doctors that I've heard from say defensive medicine is driving up the prices and kind of killing them. So
okay, and I'm going to also paraphrase you, Ryan. You're still on the air, but I'm going to paraphrase you. I asked Representative Tom Latham, Congressman Latham, on this very show, whether he would call a press conference because someone of his stature in Washington, D.C., for someone of his stature to do what I'm about to suggest would create major headlines. Isn't it about time we simply abolished the IRS and went to
a postcard?
And went to not a flat tax because that involves keeping the IRS, but a fair tax based on sales tax. Isn't it about time we did that?
We should be going that way, that's for sure.
So a national sales tax instead of the IRS is something you would support?
I don't know enough about that.
All right, Ryan, you got your answer. Thank you very much. Okay. I mean, that's obviously a major issue right now. What do we do with tax? I mean, we've got another question right now on tax. I'm going to bring Luke on the air straight away. Just ask the question real quick, Luke, please.
Yeah. Currently, tax law gives companies benefits, tax advantages, for providing employees benefits instead of paying them wages. Would you be for simplifying the medical industry by getting rid of that corporate tax benefit?
Yeah, you see, Luke, that's kind of the same question I just asked. You see, David, if you abolish the IRS and if you abolish income tax, there are no more corporate loopholes. They've gone because there's no tax, so there's no loopholes.
And then you have just a free market system.
Exactly. Based on a national sales tax. You know, if I use this example a lot, if Donald Trump wants to go out and buy a multi-million-dollar yacht, God bless him, good luck to him, congratulations on his success, please hand over the 20-something% sales tax that we need for your multi-million-dollar yacht. I can never afford the multi-million-dollar yacht, so my rowboat may well cost me, you know, a few $100, and I'll pay the sales tax on a few $100. Isn't that the fairest way? It's based completely on the ability to pay.
I need to study that more, but you're making it sound more attractive to me the more you talk about it.
Excellent. Luke, you kind of got an answer there. I hope it was good enough for you. Thank you very much. We need to have you back in here, David, because we need to explore a few more of these policy issues. So I've got about a minute left. What do you think your signature issue is going to be in this campaign?
That I can hit the ground running when I get to Washington and be effective.
Okay. Would you be, I mean, are you not the epitome of a Washington insider?
Well,
and is that a good or a bad thing?
I would say there's nothing sinister about public service. And that's what I've been doing for the past about 20 years, working for Iowans. And I would say no. I guess there's a strength of being so-called an insider, but being an insider and knowing what to do when you hit the ground running. Relationships, procedure, that kind of thing. All
right, David Young, GOP candidate for United States Senate. The first of a few interviews, I hope. We want all the candidates in here on a regular basis. We do it with presidential candidates. Far more important to us, frankly, is our own Senate seat here in Iowa. So in the meantime, thank you very much for joining us. We do really appreciate it, and I look forward to some more of these conversations.
Thank you.
Plenty more to come right here on News Radio 1040 WHO.